So this is like the second lesson of Revitalized Zen. I will make a series of lessons to YouTube so that people new to Revitalized Zen can go them in an order. I don't have to saves me a lot of time when I don't have to be repeating repeating the same stuff over and over. Well, that's what you end up doing anyway as a teacher. But nevertheless helps. This internet thing helps a lot. Excuse me. All right, so we've discussed a whole bunch of things, really. I've written long texts about the 4 stages. I've written about bone marrow washing, which is one of central practices in Revitalized Zen that I first learned from maybe I will say a few words about bone marrow washing. So Bodhidharma 1500 years ago, when he taught in China, he was known to have taught, well, number of exercises are attributed to him, but the main ones are Yi Jing Jing, or tissue transformation practice, and the second one is Shi Sui Jing, which means bone marrow washing. And it is also widely accepted that Yi Jing Jing is like a basic form of basic exercise, is still known today. And if you search YouTube, you can find many videos where people practice Yi Jing Jing, including teachers and masters of the Shaolin Temple today. But with bone marrow washing, Shi Sui Jing, it is accepted that that practice was lost over history, and nobody knows how Bodhidharma practiced it, or how he taught it, or how far in Zen lineage it was taught. And then if you search YouTube with bone marrow washing, you can find lots of videos about it too, but might be a different form, different sets of movements compared to tissue transformation, Yi Jing Jing, but nevertheless how the present situation with the 2 practices is that they are exactly the same practice in terms of principle, just with different movements. But I learned bone marrow washing first from Terayama Roshi 20 years ago, and in my long article about bone marrow washing, I have discussed 3 different types of bone marrow washing. Well, first of all, in bone marrow washing, that term, washing the bone marrow, it doesn't literally refer to bones or the bone marrow. It's a symbolical term which refers to kind of like covering all corners. So covering all bodies, cultivating all 3 bodies, 1 physical, 2 energetic at the same time. So it's a symbolical term. And there are 3 ways to do such cultivation. So it doesn't really matter what the physical movements are, whether you are, it can be yoga posture type practice, it can be a repetitive circular movement like in Qigong type, it can be slow flowing movement from one posture to other, like in Tai Chi type of thing. It could be dancing, improvised dance, or why not choreographed dance. So the form doesn't really matter at all. Well, there are some things, some internal things about how to move the body, but other than that, it doesn't really matter what the form is. It can be standing meditation, practicing bone marrow washing in stationary standing postures. This tree embracing posture is probably the most famous. Can be some other postures, other positions, doesn't matter. And then of course bone marrow washing can be practiced in seated form, whether sitting on a chair or cross-legged, but can be also practiced that way. But the most important principle in bone marrow washing, which is universal to all methods really, and which defines whether the method is effective or not, is whether there is an element of pure awareness as the basis of that exercise. And of course, pure awareness, which is a synonym for Buddha nature, nature of mind, natural state, true self. You could even say God-likeness, nature of God. That is always a necessary requirement for a really deep, thorough, comprehensive cultivation practices that then have the desired outcome, which of course is Buddhahood, or like Taoists call it, immortality, Xian. So in my long article about bone marrow washing, I've discussed 3 different ways to establish this basic requirement of pure awareness. And how Terayama Roshi taught bone marrow washing was based on what I call awareness alone. So based on your own recognition of your basic state, basic awareness, Buddha nature. And that cannot be effectively practiced without finishing Kensho stage. It cannot be effectively practiced without finishing Kensho stage, which means 13 major awakening experiences. I will get in future lessons, I will talk about Kensho and Satori stages and the differences of the two in more detail. At this point, excuse me, I have something in my throat and it bothers me all the time. But there are 3 books. There is no Revitalized Zen website at the moment, but you can find the 3 books that have been published from Amrita Mandala website. Handbook of Awakening, What's Next, and Buddhas Among Us, that give the practices and describe in detail what happens in Kensho and Satori, different stages of Kensho and Satori stages. So reading those books, you can get a very clear understanding what we are dealing with and what the practices are. So yes, Terayama Roshi taught bone marrow washing based on awareness alone, where, like I said, the requirement is that you can effortlessly, you have discovered your true nature of your mind, in the sense that it is just effortlessly there. You don't need to go back to it, seek back to it. You don't need to do anything for this basic awareness to be there. And if you have reached that stage, then you can practice, you can cultivate the other two bodies, astral body and physical body, efficiently, understanding the other elements of bone marrow washing that I will get to at some point. The other two ways of, if you don't have awareness alone yet, then there are two options: Buddha practice or ancestor practice. I simply call it Buddha practice if we chant the mantra of any of the Buddhas, such as Buddha Shakyamuni or Buddha Amitabha, who is my favorite, or Avalokiteshvara, who is also my favorite, and then, or Manjushri, also one of my favorites. So Buddha practice means that, well, Buddha Shakyamuni is both a Buddha, but he was also an ancestor. So he was a human being at some point. So, but nevertheless, Buddha Shakyamuni is viewed both as an ancestor as well as a deity. So that's why I mention it. But the point is that, you know, you need to use a mantra or a name of a Buddha or a Bodhisattva that can be used in bone marrow washing. Same can be done with the help of an ancestor. I mentioned, today I have mentioned, well, Buddha Shakyamuni, of course, again, Shodo Harada Roshi, in whose monastery I trained, he's very fond of repeating O Shaka Samaha. I don't remember the exact mantra that he says, but it's a Buddha Shakyamuni's name that he repeats a lot. And like I mentioned, Bodhidharma, it's a central figure to the whole Zen tradition, or any of the later fully enlightened patriarchs. To name some of them again: sixth patriarch Huineng, Zen Master Dogen, the famous Zen Master Dogen, who is so widely quoted and widely read. He's the one who brought Soto Zen from China to Japan. Zen Master Hakuin, of course, the great revitalizer of Rinzai Zen Buddhism in Japan from 300-400 years ago. And then, of course, Tangen Roshi. So I'm just naming few. If we look at the, I made videos of this ancestor practice topic, couple of them in YouTube, and I've spoken about this. And one universal practice in all Zen systems is to chant the names of the ancestor lineage, from today all the way to Bodhidharma, then through the Indian patriarchs to Shakyamuni Buddha, and even the 3-4 Buddhas before Shakyamuni Buddha. The thing is, though, that we are around 85th, 86th, maybe 90th generation from Buddha Shakyamuni at this point. But the thing is that not all of those names are fully enlightened Buddhas. Not all of these ancestors, whatever lineage we're discussing, Japanese lineage, Soto, Rinzai lineage, Obaku lineage, Korean Son lineages, Chinese Chan lineages, Vietnamese lineages, there are Buddhas there, fully enlightened masters there, but not all of them are fully enlightened. So I'm only mentioning the few names who I have practiced with. And like I've explained in the videos, the way how I started to practice ancestor practice or guru yoga with Zen patriarchs, some of them very recent, like Tangen Roshi, is what Tangen Roshi himself said. I might have the, yes, his direct quote. Again, Tangenrossi, before he passed away in 2018, he said, "When I die, I won't go anywhere. I will be just here and call me anytime I will respond." I wasn't surprised hearing that in 2018 when he passed away, because I had practiced Guru Yoga in Tantric context for many years. But then one day I gave it a go. I turned to Tangenrossi, who I met 20 years ago and who left such a lasting impression. And it's kind of like when you call to 911. They always pick up the phone. Not that I was in life-threatening, well, kind of life-threatening situation, this samsara, but they always pick up. And like he said, call me anytime, I will respond. How they respond? Not with a special message to tell other mortals, nothing like that. With blessings, with their presence. And this is the main function of all enlightened masters, of all Buddhas. Just to be present and offer the help of their presence, which is so rare and unique, because, you know, we might have a lot of friends. Some of them might be wealthy, some of them might be poor, some of them might be unemployed, some of them might be uneducated, some of them might be like a low-level education, plumbers, electricians, some of them might be doctors, highly educated, some of them might be academics, professors, you name it. But regardless of what is going on externally, these things don't liberate individuals from this samsara, from this delusion and these self-centered, selfish limitations. So this is the main gift that ancestors, Buddhas, can give us and gladly offer us. So when I dialed Tangenrossi's number after many years of not seeing him, and after several years of him after his passing, immediately he picked up the receiver. And I experienced the same thing that I've experienced thousands and thousands of times with tantric masters. And then this led to, from Tangenrossi, you know, I was kind of open for it, open for other masters to show up. And I didn't have the list of the lineage ancestors and then start going through them one by one. That's not the way how I did it. I was just open for it. And then up until today, different Zen masters have spontaneously showed up and in this way expressed their openness and willingness to be available like this. Which is, of course, you know, what all Buddhas do. When we have a you can think of any really famous spiritual master, and they make themselves available for others. Maybe they live in small temples like Tangenrossi did. Maybe they have big monasteries or ashrams or temples, centers. Doesn't really matter what the external setting is, whether it's a small place or a big place. But what is common to Buddhas, Zen Buddhas, Tibetan Buddhist Buddhas, Taoist Buddhas, whoever, is that they make themselves available to anybody who want to come. Not available only those who give $1 million donations. Not only available for them who praise them in books or call them for interviews in television. So available for everybody equally. Again, for the reason that the presence, the gift of a Buddha in their simple presence, without needing to talk with them, or of course if you can talk with them, that's also great, but just their presence is so different, so rare. And this is exactly what happened with me with Tangen Roshi. Exactly. So I briefly explained the core principle of bone marrow washing, which we might get into on this retreat. There are a few basic practices that I want to cover on this retreat, and we may or may not have time to get to bone marrow washing. Oh, so by the way, I learned bone marrow washing first with Terayama Roshi, and then for many years was receiving these tantric transmissions and teaching Tantra and Chokchen. And then I came to a point in my practice where this was already when I was receiving transmissions from Bodhidharma directly. So from the master who is the first patriarch of Zen, last Indian, first Chinese patriarch. And then he confirmed that the way how I was practicing it was how he also understood and taught it. Again, this doesn't mean that I'm doing the exact movements, the exact kung fu postures. This is completely irrelevant. So bone marrow washing is not like it's not like some fancy kung fu movements for 15-year-olds. It's not like that. It's a cultivation practice that can be done in any physical form. As long as you understand what you're doing, you can do it no matter in what physical shape you are. So again, bone marrow washing can be done awareness alone or based on Buddha's name or ancestor's name. And we have in Revitalized Zen, we will do shouting practice or dynamic concentration practice where we shout syllables sharply in a relaxed but in a punchy manner. Shout syllables. This can be done with the syllables from Buddha's names. For example, A, Mi, Ta, Pa, A, Mi, Ta, Pa, or any other Buddha, or any ancestor. For example, Bo, Ti, Tar, Ma, Bo, Ti, Tar, Ma. So the point that I'm trying to get is that we use the names and syllables of ancestors or Buddhas in all of these different exercises, whether sitting, standing, or moving. We use the same techniques. And why? Why is that? Maybe that's also good to say. So what happens when we are in the company of a Buddha, whether that Buddha is Buddha Amitabha, who was never a living human being, or if it's an ancestor Buddha, like somebody who was a human before. What happens? It's like you have two candles. One is lit, the other one is not. The Buddha's candle is lit, yours one isn't. And then you put the burning wicks close, and then your candle gets lit. What exactly? Your own Buddha nature. Buddha that you, me, everybody fundamentally is, appears. This is what was so special. Like when I met Tangen Roshi, that exactly was so special. It was my own Buddha nature showing up, which it hadn't for months, well, how many years? Few years in my Zen training. It hadn't showed up. But in his company, automatically, the fire from his candle lit my candle. Without needing to do anything special, just being standing there next to him. And he was fantastic. He was brilliant. He was this. He was 82 at the time, and he'd been an abbot of that little temple for over 50 years. This elder Zen monk in Zen robes, bald from the head, little bit on the sides, and he was just so soft and chuckling all the time, like laughing to himself all the time, as if you know, he was hearing funny jokes all the time. But of course, I don't think he was telling himself jokes all the time, but he was just spontaneously so joyful. Spontaneously. Yet not a crazy person. You know? So present. Irresistibly present. So that his presence made me present. Made my head clear. But also that aliveness, that softness, that joyfulness. And actually it is this aliveness and joyfulness when we think of Zen Buddhism. We don't usually think about that, do we? We think about the seriousness and rigidness and very masculine, macho mentality. But he wasn't like that. And there's a reason for that, which is that his heart was open. Second Dantien, open, bubbling joy, bubbling joy. I had seen that later in my tantric years with many non-physical Mahasiddhas, that they had that. But Tangen Roshi is until today the only Zen Buddhist who had that. Clarity, softness, joyfulness, and this what to call it, mountain-like stability. Mountain suggests, mountains only stand, but it is this kind of peacefulness and stability that has this immense power, like that kind of. So it's not like passive peacefulness, but very dynamic peacefulness. He had that, and he's the only Zen Buddhist who I ever saw have that. I think it's best if we start with Ancestor practice and Bodhidharma's Ancestor practice. So please take a good sitting posture. Drop expectations. Forget about having amazing experiences. Forget about that. Just be very simple, very plain. Kind of like a simpleton. Without needing any answers, without asking any questions. Simply feel your body. Relax eyes, relax mouth. Stop all doing and let energies flow freely for a moment or two. Feel your body, feel your energy, energies of the mind, energies that takes the form of thought and emotion and memories. And also feel the energies in your energy field, in your aura, around the body. Just getting a sense, tasting a little bit. Then let's generate bodhicitta together, reminding ourselves about Mahayana motivation, which is that we are practicing, engaging with a path, with a method, and committing with a path, with a method, so that we can, each one of us, reveal the Buddha that is in us, who we truly are, so that we can become enlightened, pure beings for the benefit of all beings. And this is our motivation. And when it is expressed, it is called generating bodhicitta. May all beings be free. May all beings be happy. In this world, in all worlds. Big beings, small beings, good beings, bad beings, whoever they are, may they be free and happy. And I, each one of us, is practicing here to attain Buddhahood for their benefit also. For their liberation, for their happiness. reminding from lesson 1, see what happens in your energetics and even in your physical body when tissues open through generating bodhicitta. Just feel. All that is needed is to feel and get in touch with sensing, not thinking, not conceptualizing, but feeling. Getting in touch with the body. And if you're able to do that, there is no you doing that. When the body is just let to feel, plain and simple, just feel. This experience is selfless, without the sense of me or I, making it happen, doing it, performing it. You need to ask yourself if that is the case or not. So now that we have sat down and generated bodhicitta, now we have expressed who we are and where we are coming from. And this also matters when we do ancestor practice. It matters. It masters when we call them, and they will see our energetics first and foremost. They will see what happens in our subtler of the subtle bodies, in causal body, and in the grosser of the subtle bodies, in astral body. So they can directly see whether we are bodhisattvas practicing for the benefit of all beings, or if we have other motivations. So having a genuine bodhicitta motivation where we are truly, genuinely concerned about the welfare and mind state of others, this is a prerequisite. If we are very selfish and just think in terms of my growth, my benefit, probably not. The blessings are not gonna come through. So from the get-go, in Mahayana, there is this maturity test, whether one's bodhicitta is genuine or not. More about bodhicitta later. So now we've done a little preparation for a few minutes. Then I will invite Bodhidharma's blessings. Then we'll feel his presence, and then after a few minutes we will chant his simple mantra. With folded hands, with sincere hearts, with open minds and open hearts. I am inviting Zen Patriarch Bodhidharma's blessings, Bodhidharma's presence to be with us, to transmit the Buddha mind and energy to us, each one of us. Now be open and receptive and see what happens. How the Bodhidharma, with his presence and blessings, comes to you, arrives. It's like meeting any Buddha or Mahasiddha, whether physically or non-physically. In the beginning, it might be a challenge for you if this is your first ever session, or even if you have done a number of sessions. It might feel a bit challenging at first to feel, but just let the body feel. Let the body receive. You don't have to think about it. Don't try to grab it. Just receive. Like taking a sun bath in summer. You don't try to grab the warmth of the sun. You just receive it. Simple prayer, instant response. And then you simply keep feeling. Keep feeling. Staying with Bodhidharma, in this case, as long as he stays with you. As long as his presence and his energy is felt. The simplest of things, simplest of practices. And then, some of you have practiced for long, some of you have practiced little. For those of you who have less background, it is helpful to use the mantra chant the mantra whether aloud or silently, so that you can strengthen, make the presence of Bodhidharma in this case more apparent for yourself. Okay? If you are feeling the energy very well, lucid, clear from the start, then you don't necessarily need to chant mantras or do anything. Just say a simple prayer and that's enough. If there is a charge clearly felt. But now, let's chant Namo Bodhidharmaye. So I'm just wanting to teach you tools how you can do this by yourself at home. I will chant the mantra 4 times. After that, join me in chanting. Namo Bodhidharmaye. 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 Just a few minutes of chanting, few minutes of inviting Master Bodhidharma with your chant, and then feeling, receiving his blessing. and taking it all in, enjoying the presence of a fully enlightened Buddha. That shows us the Buddhas who we are. Stay in Bodhidharma's presence. Stay with his charge. What happens is because we have limitations, we have habits, patterns, delusion, is that sooner or later we, those limitations prevent us from just staying with an ancestor or a Buddha indefinitely. So sooner or later we start getting tired, and this is perfectly normal. Over time our capacity increases, we get closer to Bodhidharma experientially. But when this happens, that we start to get tired and yet the charge still continues, so it is best to just lie down and stay in tune, in this case with Bodhidharma. Stay in tune with him, in touch with him, lying down. So let's lie down, and I will let you know when to get up. Ladies and gents, we spent a moment taking in Bodhidharma's charge, lying down. You can turn to Bodhidharma, chant his mantra also at any time, at any place, whether if you have just 2 minutes of time or 2 hours time to sit, wherever. Just use the gift, take advantage of the gift that Buddhas and patriarchs are offering us. And always it is necessary, when we have received the gift, it is necessary to thank for it. So let's together, simply, from our hearts, express the gratitude to Bodhidharma. Simply thinking of him, feeling gratitude. Or if you want, you can say a few words of gratefulness. So, dear Bodhidharma, thank you very much for your blessings. Thank you for this help.